Hi, I'm Brett. We've got another really good video update. Now, this particular car has been looked after us by quite a few years, and it's got an extensive package of parts and just done a recent upgrade with closed deck block and some other fantastic improvemements to really get the most out of the engine. Very, very similar to our Project Billet using the original factory block. So we'll pull a dyno run and then I'll tell you exactly what we've achieved. Okay, so let's talk about this car whilst we let the guys cool down a little bit in the background. This is the dyno graph, and I'm going to show you some details in a minute, but from a package of parts, this car's got a Blausch turbo, it's got big modified heads with oversized valves, custom camshafts. The aim for this car was as much bottom end torque as possible, similar to Project Billet, so you'll notice it's got a top mount intercooler, not a front mount intercooler, with a air intake under the inlet manifold running a modified air intake with a large mass airflow meter. We're right at the limit of the mechanical reliability of this engine running E-Flex, so we're running big injectors, 1300cc injectors running E-Flex, so you can switch between the maps or anything in between using Racerom custom tuning on the factory ECU. And internally it's got all the right bits. It's got forged pistons, heavy duty rods, split set of main and big end bearings, and what I mean by that, it's got the bearing journals are individually chosen from a whole heap of different bearing kits to get the tolerances to the absolute minimum to ensure we got the best settings for the bearing clearances, which includes the advantages of having really tight oil pressure and good reliability, because this car does a lot of track cars. We reckon this car's done over 100 track days in its life. So the good news is, if you look at the dyno graph, and we'll get you another update of this lately, but you can see the peak torque, 675 Newton meters. Now, to put that in perspective, I think Project Billet was over 700. Again, it's not about the peak power, so you notice it just tips the scales about 374 kilowatts, but it's all about monstrous torque at 3,600 RPM. So effectively, again, we've come close to doubling the original factory torque, because this car is a track car and also gets competed in the White Line Tarmac Rally Sprint Series this year. And the brief from the owner was freshen up the engine with a new upgrade of improvements to maximise all the other goodies he's already had on the engine for the last couple of years, and then give him the best bang for buck. So what this has got is an MRT designed closed deck block, and we did a video on this car some time ago, so we'll link a video to the bottom of it. You can understand what we're doing with closed deck block. So we've taken it to the mechanical reliable limit that we're comfortable with of the block without going to the risks and forcing us into a Project Billet type block assembly to keep the costs down, because this client couldn't justify the $15,000 block. But it's got 14mm head studs, which required some extensive modifications to the block, and then obviously modifications to the head gaskets and the heads, so we can run easy over 25 PSI boost with the Blausch turbo. And that's what brings the car on early, because the turbo that we've chosen is not designed for massive top end, it's designed for bottom end. It won't flow the capacity of what this engine can take top end, because the client wants bottom end performance, and certainly has got it, as you can see by this graph. We'll get another graph to compare this car to a factory standard STi, which puts it even in more perspective. But from a mechanical point of view, this car is going to be fantastic to drive on the road. And you can see with some of the other modifications. Let's come inside and we'll just point out some of the stuff. I'll just reach over and I'll just turn this fan off. So, big MAF air intake from Process West. It's got, we'll just get this, MRT top mount intercooler. You can see it's got a custom modified breather kit which drains back down into the sump. It's got the big injectors down underneath. It's got some crankcase modifications, which is all this as well here, because when you're pushing this type of horsepower, the factory breather system can't cope with the mechanical combustion flow of this type of design of the grunt that we're chasing. And of course, all the other stuff is hidden internally inside it. And because it's a car that is regularly on the track, it's got a Mishimoto high capacity radiator, because a little while ago the original factory radiator just couldn't deal with the the amount of load that we put in this engine. It's got really good extractors. It's still got a catalytic converter in the downpipe, a 3-inch exhaust with a good rear muffler. It's still, that exhaust system on this car is very, very similar to what we still run on our factory road cars, although it's been modified a little bit because obviously you can hear it's a hell of a lot louder. Used to be, you can see here, many years ago, I used to have the XB power kit on it, but that's changed a little while ago now. And I think that probably sums it up from a fun point of view. This car, really, really good fun car to ride on the road. It is road registered. Close the bonnet. There won't be much for you to tell that's a highly modified car with this type of grunt. So there you have it. If you want some more technical information, check out our other project billet update, which gives you a really good comparison. But for now, I hope this is giving you more information that you can expect if you use the right parts so you can get a fantastic fun car to drive if you've got the right budget. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter and Instagram. Check out our new website with the drop-down menu. You'll find some fantastic info on our online shop. And we'll see you at the track or the Tarmac Rally Sprint where you see this car in action. Bye for now.